Alrighty, everyone. So to open things up for us tonight, we have Chris Ho, also known as internet personality Vangelus, with let's see if I got the title of this thing right. Transformers Toys in the 2020's, Hypostatizing a Healthy Hobby.
Correct.
Wow. Yay! I did look that up in the dictionary.
Oh, you don't even need to.
I don't remember the definition.
There we go. Okay. I have to touch something, but...
Make sure it gets consent. This is a little preview for the YouTuber panel on Sunday. I'll be advertising later. It's what we call redundancies. Whenever you want to get anything going, I think that was me hitting the chair down. You want to have redundancies going. So even though we have a recording going, I also have a recording going and a recording going and a recording going. So that no matter what happens, our helpful advice can get to the people later on. So, welcome to TFcon 2021. I should get my clock out so I can keep an eye on the time. There is something at 8. So we're getting 2023. Sorry. I keep thinking 2019 was 2 years ago.
It was.
Yeah, right? Obviously. I also spent a good long while saying I haven't been to TFcon LA since the last one in 2019. At which point a person I was talking to opened their shirt which said TFcon LA 2022. And I was like, well, that's funny. That's a funny bit you just did. So speaking of the 2020s, our panel today is Transformers Toys in the 2020s, Hypostatizing a Healthy Hobby. Now I know the first question a lot of you have is, what is hypostatizing? Well, Webster's dictionary defines hypostatize as to attribute real identity to a concept. So we're going to realize a healthy hobby. Now I know what you're thinking, what's healthy about a hobby? Webster's dictionary defines healthy in a lot of different ways. Really, we want number 2 there that I tried to make bigger. Beneficial to one's physical, mental, or emotional state. Conducive to or associated with good health or reduced risk of disease. Now, how is a hobby going to reduce your risk of disease? I'm glad you asked. Obviously, you don't know what a hobby is. Now, Webster's dictionary defines a hobby as a small old world falcon or falco sabutio that is dark blue above and white below with dark streaking up. It's a pursuit outside of one's regular occupation engaged in especially for relaxation. So that's kind of the sorry, I'm having a bit of a problem here with the thing. This is that technical problem we had going on before. I don't know what's possibly happening here with my slides. So how have things changed for the lifestyle superfan? And very immediately I'm going to say, I'm very broadly speaking. There's a footnote down there for those of you in the back. When we talk about the lifestyle superfan, I'm really aggregating stuff here. Obviously everyone has fandom in their own separate way. So I'm speaking about sort of a broad gradient, kind of like a shadow cast on the wall by us, the collective lifestyle superfan. If you're not a lifestyle superfan, hopefully this is still helpful to you. So what happened in the 2000s? You could do mold completionism for toys, and you had the adventure of chasing down all the new Transformers. I am rounding 2007 onwards into the 2010s, by the way. Because obviously in 2007, every Starscream collector had to stop being a Starscream collector. Because that happened to 2 friends of mine. In the 2010s, roughly, we go into a world of, well, I can do mainline mold completion, and I got the adventure of finding blowout sales, both IRL, in real life, or online. You know, I'm going to go to Walmart, catch some of those deluxes on rollback. I'm going to hit up HasbroToyShop.com, I think was around still then. It was still kind of possible to focus on your generations, on your movie mainlines. I'm still going to complete. I'm going to buy one of everything. It's my lifestyle hobby. I enjoy this. We entered the 2020s. Well, if I focus all my hobby cash into Transformers and keep an eye on all the pre-orders, then hopefully I won't miss any of them.
if they all ship on time and I have the money, because some of them might have shipped like 3 weeks in advance or 2 months in advance, and maybe like an entire wave of deluxe is shipped when I thought I'd have to pay for one Commander toy. Anyway, the 2020s obviously are a little bit of a different atmosphere, and I partly am doing this panel because I have felt that way, and I've noticed a huge amount of my friends have expressed similar feelings, regardless of whether they're able to financially afford tons of toys right now or not. Like, everyone feels like something has shifted. So what happened? Was it manufacturing impacts of a global pandemic? Was it the cascade effect of a global shipping crisis? Was it the ever-rising cost of oil and steel, mold, plastic mass production, or general inflation? Or was it a corporation's base desire for its line to always go up well beyond reason or reality?
Or was it those stupid scalper bots that just kept money?
Don't ask me, ask the experts. They know these things. There's people in industries. I don't know why, but really it's probably all of it. None of these things are mutually exclusive. I base part of this hypothesis on having gotten into board games over the last 3 years and learning from that a whole lot more about how, especially the top two, really impacted a whole lot of just things that are meant to be fun, and that the people who make them, especially when they are a smaller but not tiny, but not huge company, are suffering enormously right now, trying to release anything. And board games are a form of toy, and then I poke around a little bit, and it feels like this is not an inaccurate sort of list of things to kind of, if you want to have a phantom to scream at, I've made a whole list of them here. These are the 6 ghosts of Scooby-Doo for us to go find Vincent Price and then catch him, put him in a treasure box. So, we're going to talk about some things that I've covered in previous panels. This is part of that big series of panels I have been doing, if you've followed it since 2017, which is about just having a healthier time with your hobby, enjoying your toys more, and thinking beyond just like, I'm gonna get the new thing, and now I got it, so it's time to get the new thing. So some of the things we're gonna touch on, from how to enjoy the toy and get rich in 5 steps, is making the most of what you already have. I'm listing these because I don't wanna go in detail on all this stuff over again, so if you are lost on some of it, don't worry. We're also going to think about identifying subjective connective qualities, that is to say, what sparks happy brain chemicals within you beyond just buying the toy. Like, I want to own every TFcon, or I really like it when toys have soft goods, or stuff like that. Like, just identifying what makes you specifically happy outside of owning it. Also, fighting off FOMO, the fear of missing out. Buying things because you'd like to is the goal, and that's in place of buying things because you feel you have to. That's a really easy question to ask yourself, I find, right up front with your collecting hobby, is do you ever feel like, I'm trying to buy this thing because I'm supposed to, as opposed to like feeling excited about owning it and interacting with it. There is a YouTube playlist, and I checked this on my phone. If you search Vangelus Enjoy the Toy and filter for playlists, it should show up. That is a 2-stage search operation on YouTube, which can be complicated depending how you actually interact with YouTube, but that was easier than trying to tell you all like a very long URL. So there's an idea. So, going on to today's topic. First one, thriftier joy. And having thriftier joy, being thriftier and still finding joy. One thing you can do is let pre-orders slide by. This is hard. Especially when it feels like, if I don't pre-order the toy, it will cease to exist. That's kind of like me and Leader Class Blitzwing from Legacy. I have never seen one in person until today at a Target. But I'm gonna wait, because I got a whole convention happening. I didn't want to drop like $50 US right away. 9 times out of 10, you will get another chance. Legacy Blitzwing, never saw one, missed the pre-order, just saw 3 at Target. Don't buy them all, because I might want to go back there on Monday. So if you got to, like, buy 2 of them, hide the other one in the Jurassic Park thing, then we'll both know where it's at. Also, utilize your accessible aftermarket, and I say accessible because not everyone has access to some of these ideas, like local area toy shows and collector groups. Those are ways to track down maybe something you just couldn't find. You might see it at a toy show. It might be marked up $5, but you found it there. You didn't have to commit 2 to 6 months in advance. And one way I tend to think about that, when it's a reasonable markup, it's kind of like, this is my convenience tax. So I didn't have to commit all of my fun hobby spending months in advance, especially when sometimes, as I said, that stuff can release weeks to months in advance of when you thought it was going to come out. Collector groups are a way to kind of get at what's showing up in your local area without pre-ordering. If you have friends who just go on toy hunts because they do. In my area, like I got a friend who sometimes does that and will just yell out notifications to a friend group of like, hey, there's 3 Omega Supremes here. Hey, I found a Minerva. Is anyone still looking for it? But also, collector groups are a way that you can get in on group buys if there is an online platform selling some stuff, and say you live in Canada. Now, obviously, this is going to land a little bit less hard in Los Angeles, America, but if there's something, say, on Mandarake or something overseas, collector groups are a way to kind of get rid of the part where it's all on you. Also, fellow hobbyists bailing out on recent buys is a way you can get at fresh stuff. If someone did pre-order all of Wave 3 of Legacy Deluxes and then went like, you know, I don't actually like any of these, they might want to just ditch them. And then, hey, if you know them, you might be able to get at them when they ditch them. Or you can become a pleasure surgeon. Now, I wrote this bullet point, and I didn't really think about how it looked on its own. So this will make sense. You need to learn yourself and what you truly love. Now, I wrote this supplementary bullet point and was like, this still looks like a Cenobite wrote it. And, you know, I don't mind. But stick to those realms of what you truly love and don't falter just to buy something for the sake of buying it. So, easy example. If you are looking for Transformers, you can't find any. You turn 180 degrees and there's a wall of Lego. And you're like, well, I'm pretty sure I like Lego. I'll buy that. I guess, you know, this will change from person to person. In my experience, that means that I have a storage unit bin full of unbuilt Lego that I bought because I couldn't find any Transformers. So if you start noticing a pattern like that, you can just start saying, you know, I don't think I like Lego enough to want to own lots of it. Which brings us to the realm of slaughter regret. Regret's a big, powerful thing. It's an easy way to manipulate other people if you want to, for instance, sell things. So identify when you are just seeing greener pastures. And one easy example is if you're lingering in discussion threads that fuel envy. Say that you can't just afford Soul of Chogokin Gao Figar, which is like a $300 to $400 piece coming out later this year. If you can, you know, hang out in discussion threads about it. If you can check it out, just think it looks cool. However, if you're lingering in those discussion threads and all you're feeling is like, well, how am I ever going to afford this? What can I do? Okay, what part of my house can I sublet? What physical parts of me can I cut off and sell? Because we always make the jokes about doing that, but honestly, I've never found a single vector anywhere online in my continent where I could just sell a finger for $500. So I don't know what you all are talking about. But consider that, like, if you're chilling out in discussion threads about expensive toys and it's making you feel not good until you have purchased one of them, it might be worth just like backing out of those discussion threads a little bit. And going off that, find the fun in spectating. This has been a big one for me for a few years. Enjoy the joy of others in realms that don't connect as deeply with your joy nexus. Now, I had one person ask me earlier today, well, what's a joy nexus? It's the nexus of your joy. As an example, Lego. I think Lego's cool, but I figured out I actually, for the most part, prefer watching other people with Lego than actually owning the Lego myself. So that's one where I've gone to spectating. Another one of those is 6-inch Marvel. I like watching other people build huge shelves of Marvel Legends. I have a few Marvel Legends. Some of them are okay. They don't really like make me excited, so I just spectated. I didn't put it in here. This has been in a previous panel. A big part of spectating is also that things you don't buy aren't also bad by association of you not wanting to buy them. And that can be a really, really weirdly hard thing to think about as a toy collector, because I feel that we tend to kind of self-inundate with the notion that everything good must also be bought. And that can, you know, turn into a cascade brain failure at a certain point as far as your joy nexus. You all have a user manual for that, by the way. You'll find it stowed under the glove compartment. If you don't know where that is, you know, ask your manufacturer, and I'm sure they'll be able to help you out. FOMO, fear of missing out, must be stopped, no matter the cost. You'll know Peter Cullen is at the show this year. Peter Cullen is not here doing the line for me this year. I didn't ask him, but he could have still showed up. And anyway, fear of missing out. Does anyone really need to be told the problem
that is FOMO, and how FOMO is like the root cause of so much collector pain across not just toy collecting, but so many other worlds. All I need to do is keep quoting Transformers. Crush it with your bare hands. All right? Inner peace through careful consumer tyranny is on his tech spec. Kind of. So anyway, let's dismember completionism. If there's one thing I like to think about, it's how violently can we solve our own inner problems. And I was thinking, what goes best with completionism than making it incomplete of its limbs by dismembering it? Completionism is not FOMO, but boy howdy, it likes to float around amidst a lot of the concepts we've already talked about. You might call it a culmination point of things already said. It's thriftier to not buy literally everything. Do you know how funny that sentence is to just say to somebody without this context? When you just go up to a non-toy collector and say, you know, I just realized it's less expensive if I don't purchase everything. And then they're kind of like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, my hobby. And they're like, what are you doing? So sometimes just saying a thing out loud to yourself can be really eye-opening, because I'm sure we all agree this is true objectively. However, I felt weird typing this, and so maybe that speaks to a greater problem. Also, complete sets are a root source of the fear of missing out. Like, oh, I don't have every deluxe from Legacy Wave 3. How will I know which one is best? It's not Point Blank, if I got that right. And as far as slaughtering regret, you can't regret missing one or two parts of a set if you've slaughtered regret! So kill it. Hatchets. Make it into a sandwich and eat it angrily. There will always be another chance to get a hold of anything you've missed out on. That's something I've found. And with rare exceptions, if it takes a while, then you have a new grail. And you know what is the best kind of collector grail? One that is actually possible. Whenever people are like, what's your grail? I'm like, oh, the prototype of 1986 Unicron. And you're like, okay, cool. So you want to never have it. It's like, yeah. Grails that you can achieve are so much fun because then you get new grails afterwards. And so whenever you feel really bad about like, oh, am I going to ever get a hold of this thing again? Over in Canada, you know, the 2-pack of those Earthrise cone heads that is the long national nightmare that me and my, eventually we'll find them because it sounds like they're putting them in Buzzworthy. Now, granted, Buzzworthy in Canada goes to Toys R Us, which is it's a corpse being puppeted like a sock puppet with black ichor coming out of all its orifices at this point. But the chance is there because Americans can buy them for us and hand carry them to Canada so we don't pay shipping costs. Am I right? How many of you clapping are Canadian? Yeah, that's right. Anyway, the main message of a lot of this is that you've got to prioritize your happiness. And that's really, again, weird to say when we're in the context of literally one of, if not your main hobby. But it's so easy for a hobby to become not fun and not bring you happiness. So you got to, if you're feeling like stressed out about your hobby, and going back to that point I made earlier, myself and a lot of my friends in the last 3 years getting mountingly stressed out about wanting to buy some Transformers because they're fun. This is a sort of mantra that's good to revisit now and then when it's just like, I just am not having fun. I'm mad all the time when I'm talking about my thing that I do for fun. A big part of this is true happiness is not what others tell you to do. And this is going back to that whole thing about how, as collectors, we tend to inundate ourselves with what is so cool that we don't have right now. But I'm going to show you some quotes that are wrong. You have to get X. Now, obviously, there's no toy called X. So this is a mathematical concept called a variable. So, well, we can't buy Rampage. They don't make them anymore. So X, Y, and Z are letters that are in place of actual toys. So you have to get X. It's not true. If you don't have Y, your set's never truly complete. And it's like no. Like if you're trying to collect the Avengers and you don't have any Thors, and it's like you don't have all the Avengers. I'm like, no, I got them all without Thor. That's my collection.
For some reason, you just don't like Thor. I don't know. Someone's Thor's off screen. Thor is behind the wall of my display case in the metaverse over here. And this is obviously the one we all hear. Only a big loser dripping with L juice and pockets full of failure sauce would own Zed on its own. And it's like, no, you buy whatever you want. Like when you buy a combiner limb, especially like an expensive third-party version of a Stunticon, and it's like, oh, so you're buying all, you're going to commit to the $600 to $800? Like, no, I just like Dead End. Thanks. It's fine. And obviously people are, I don't think anyone goes around making allegations of pockets full of failure sauce, but if they do, also, they're probably not a very good friend, and you should have a talk with them. Knowing what true hobby happiness is could take some work, and a lot of my previous panels are all about just the very notion of thinking and introspecting about, like, what do you actually enjoy about what you're enjoying? Because with toys, to kind of go back to some of those points, it's so easy to just go from purchase to purchase to purchase, and I don't think many of you are simply chasing purchase to purchase to purchase. Even if you haven't identified it yet, there's something in there that you actually like because you're buying those things. You're not buying Lego or Airsoft or, what's the new thing? Graded VHS cassettes, unless someone is. Okay, good, because those things are screwed up. Like, that's a racket, right? Like, I'm not insulting anyone here. Okay. So what your true hobby happiness is, like, it can take a while to figure out. I still haven't really figured it out myself. My main thing I go to is, like, I know I'm a tactile collector because I like to transform them. And, like, that still doesn't really inform very much, but I'm figuring it out. Whenever you do figure it out, though, it's so worth it because you feel at least like you have, like, a little bit of grounding and you feel like you're in control of your hobby to some degree. Even if it's as simple as I collect Triptychons, that's still, like, something, right? And also, there aren't that many Triptychons. Granted, they're all expensive, but there's not that many Triptychons. There are also alternative means, just to kind of like close up the main points here. Those are not all of the ways to do things, and I tried to think outside of the box of my brain, because these are all just suggestions. Everyone's path is their own, so some people are well off enough to just grind through and buy anything and everything they'd like. It's like, I want that new Fans toys, bought it. I want all the new wave of, like, bought it. I also want to back collect all of Iron Factory, bought it. That was Iron Factory, I was saying, by the way. And if you know Iron Factory, you know that back collecting Iron Factory sucks. So if that is your position, then, like, that is your way through right now. And if you're fine, you're fine. But also, if someone in the room is able to buy literally everything that they want ever right now, buy us pizza and soda and duck tacos. Yeah, so in 2019, the grill outside had these duck tacos that were divine. I have engaged in all of my means of intelligence and info gathering. They're gone. The duck tacos are gone. So if someone in here could buy anything that they want for their hobby, then go out there and buy them a bunch of ducks so they make us duck tacos. Or pizza and soda. That's what buy me things. That's my refrain to anyone who has money, basically. But we got a hand up back there. No, they were made of duck. They were ducky. Yeah, it was duck. It was really good. It was like spicy with duck and some cilantro and a really nice taco shell. They got tacos still, but I got to try them out. There is also just the notion of the hobby zen horizon, which I kind of have been alluding to, which is where, like, in some examples, some folks I have met when their hobby was not very fun for them, I'm just gonna check out. They just, like, checked out of the hobby for X amount of time. Some came back, some just never came back. And some folks are just able to check out. Part of my mindset for this panel is that you're probably not the sort who can just go like, yeah, I'm done. I'm just gonna walk away from, whatever. I can sell everything tomorrow, it'll be fine. A lot of people like to talk the talk. I have met very few people who can walk the walk. I am not one of them. That's why I'm sitting in a chair. I'm a sitter. There are also some folks who they never feel anything but chill and joy about their hobby. Like, some folks I have met who just are never mad, and they don't own everything. They are just perpetually satisfied. And if you're one of these folks, you don't need my help, but also, please, buy us pizza and soda and get the duck tacos. Use the Zen power you've got to do that in this case. I have kind of, blitzed my way through some of this panel because, admittedly, I wasn't entirely sure if I needed to do this in 50 minutes or 30 minutes. But
that gives us some time for a few things. Number one, advertisements.
Now I got some really nice looking AI generated art girls with Nerf guns that can sell you some mobile apps.
I was just trying to remember one of the ads that played earlier on when the stuff was... I got some advertisements. Number one, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., the Manic Marathon. Now, I am advertising my own panels at the very convention they're happening at. The Manic Marathon, however, is something we did in Toronto. This is where I have 10 subjects that I'm going to try to review on the panel in about 45 minutes, as fast as possible. There will be challenges associated with some of them. Every $25 total raised on that Extra Life link up there adds a challenge up until the maximum number. We're currently at $100 raised. So I put that there because that seemed like the easiest thing, and I couldn't find the QR code that I found last year. If you know my friend Aaron Axsmith, if you go find his Twitter, he has an Extra Life page as well. He has promised that every donation he receives until tomorrow morning, he will match on mine to ensure that this is as hard as possible. Now, some of the challenges done last time were review without using my thumbs. And someone in the crowd had tape. I don't remember why, but they were able to tape my thumbs together to my palms. There was also one where I had to review in the form of a song. What I will say is that the clap challenge is back. That is where someone, I need to find an assistant for this, will clap. There's going to be more than one toy on the table. Every time they clap, I have to change which one I'm talking about, and I have to keep those multiple cogent trains of thought going. There's also going to be one which is do the review in the style of a Generation 2 Transformers rap song. And these challenges are randomly assigned to one of the subjects using trading card sleeves. So I cannot pre-prepare for any of this unless that's all I do tonight, is sit in my hotel room doing rap songs. And I can't because my roommate will kill me. So anyway, that's tomorrow at 10 in the morning. If you can make it to that, please do, because it's a lot of fun. There's some audience participation. You will have to come up with some ideas for me. And when I ask that you make up a third mode for a toy, please go nuts. Don't just look at a car and say it's a boat, because that happened in Toronto, and do you know how easy that was? I flipped the car upside down, and now it was a boat. Don't make it that easy for me. Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m., now this is in the future, the far-flung future. A lot of you will be poor by then. But if you can make it at 2 p.m., there will be a Transformers YouTubers panel that I'm not running, but there's going to be 4 to 6 of us on the panel, mostly talking about not yet. Mostly talking about how we engage with our hobby through the creation of media, and given some Q&A stuff about if you want to make media but you haven't really figured out how you want to do it, we can offer some help. It's going to be a general fan media style panel, which should be really fun, especially with a lot of the speakers on there having not been on a panel before. So they will have a lot of fresh perspective. I am the only toy reviewer on that panel. So if you don't want to hear about people filming toys, there's going to be plenty of other cool stuff going on. However, throughout the weekend, even tonight, I don't actually know what the room is yet. It's listed. The Transformers trading card game, a not dead game with full community support, which in fact has a new website that launched yesterday, which is transformers.card, is a very fun trading card game that I have a whole bunch of stuff I can share about playing it. We can play it. If you have cards, we can play. If you're a lapsed player, I can catch you up. If you don't know how to play, I can show you how to play. If you're curious what the community stuff is that's been going on, we currently have a community effort that is pretty much making new numbered waves after Wave 5, the final Wizards of the Coast wave. And we've been aiming to have a scene that is pretty much balanced and fun. That did involve banning a number of Wave 5 cards, because the Wave 5 meta was actually a real kind of toxic thing to play card games in. But we've solved it, mostly. We got Junkions that you can ride. We got Quintessons with Sharkticons. And you got a Pit of Judgment that pukes out more Sharkticons. I got a deck for Gnaw, and Gnaw has a stratagem where he can puke on a person once. If you let him. People always kill him before he does, but maybe finally when we play, you will let my poor Gnaw puke on a person. Yeah, people laugh and then they kill Gnaw, and then they laugh at Gnaw when he's lying face down and then puking where it doesn't matter. Anyway, these are some things going on over on my end. There's also, I think, some opening ceremonies after this panel.
At 8 o'clock.
At 8 o'clock? Like, there's a thing happening. The Transformers TCG, by the way, I believe the hours tonight are 8 to 10. It's on TFconLA.com schedule. There will be TCG Open Play. That is also a tabletop room, as it's listed, so if people brought the deck building game, I like that game. I was alluding to this on YouTube. If someone actually is going to run a Transformers RPG campaign during the weekend, you're braver than me. Because you got a whole convention going on too, and I always assume running an RPG takes an extremely long time. But it's a Transformers tabletop room, so it's themed towards. There's a lot of Transformers tabletop stuff right now. Anyway, this brings us to the final slide, which is any questions about hobby happiness, about enjoying the toy, or about life or the universe in general. I actually have answers to everything. So I'm just going to start with hands I saw up over here in the front with the green shirts.
So, I write Transformers. Oh, you want to?
Oh, do you want it? Yeah.
It's the mic right there. Mike, go ahead and line up.
Okay. Oh, yeah, if you want to line up at the mic, I guess that makes more sense. Yeah, I didn't know the mic was on.
I write Transformers books, and I find in my own personal relationship with the hobby, creating media can help scratch the itch that sometimes buying Transformers also scratches. And I think a lot of people here engage with the process. Obviously, you're a content creator, but I think a lot of people will make fan art or fan fiction. Do you find in your life that the process of creation does scratch that similar itch?
100%. In my case, like there is sort of, I'd call it an implicit bias because a lot of what I make is filming toys. So it pretty much helps me draw more value out of the things that I purchase because if I pick up a figure, well now technically I could also write some critical thoughts about it in Twitter form. I could write a little blog post about it. I could make a video about it. I could make a fun little puppetry animation with it too. I think that's absolutely a valid way and a healthy way to make your hobby more fun is outside of outside of just buying toys. Write about them, write about media, write about shows, write about just weird trivia. I think that thankfully we're getting away from this. There was a period where Transformers fan media tended to just focus on like its 2D art or its toy reviews. And like there's so much more to talk about. Just in terms of writing stuff, like weird quirks across toy releases, habits in the media itself. Now that we know more about designer names being attached to toys, you can sort of extrapolate a designer's work over several years, and you can even come up with a thought piece about that. So yeah, absolutely. And I would encourage anyone who has not like made any kind of media about what they love, give it a try, because the worst thing you can do is like make a bad one. And guess what? Literally everyone made a bad one. This is sort of a tangent, but like there's this old belief like, oh, I got to do it right the first time. No, you don't. Everyone made a really bad one the first time. Just a lot of people don't share it after a while. Yeah. I left all mine up on YouTube though, so go back to 2008. Look at starry-eyed little early 20s me filming with a thing with a cassette in it and like making jokes about the putting a subtitle that says yellow every time I say yellow because I don't even remember why I did that. Anyway, next question.
So for the charity event, is there going to be like a 10 shots, 10 bots like Hugh Adams did?
It's sort of like 10 subjects, but I'm trying to review them as fast as possible, but while still making cogent thoughts. And that's part of what those challenges are, is that they just add more things I have to, take onto my cognitive load while trying to make those cogent thoughts. The rule is I have to say at least one notable thing about each mode and the transformation therein. There are no hidden action figures, I don't think, in this thing, so I don't have any cheats like that. But I will not be taking shots of liquor up in front of you all. I think that's literally illegal, but also, no, it's literally illegal. I think that's about it, actually. That's the ceiling I hit. But yeah, that's kind of what we're going to be doing. And the Extra Life campaign will be running like all year. This is just a way that I like to drum up some interest for it. It's all going towards Sick Kids Ontario. That's my personal cause. Aaron's, I believe, is Riley Children's Hospital, so if you donate to that, he will donate to Sick Kids Ontario, so we actually, we don't win, the kids win. And Extra Life is not handled by myself or Aaron. You can check out their website. It's a whole video gamey fundraising thing. They handle all the donations. We're not doing this to like get secret money. I got other ways to do that. You fill a sock, quarters.
Okay.
enough so it's heavy, and you start winging it. The rest of this might be illegal, so I have to stop there. But it's all in my book.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, so I don't know if this falls into any of the three categories, but what kind of advice do you have for dealing with the anxiety or whatever of waiting for a new Transformers game?
Well, I can confirm that literally everything fits into category 3. I checked. I sent a letter, and I got a reply back that said yes. So Transformers game. Do you mean like a digital, or do you just mean any kind of game?
Any kind, but more specifically, I'm about the new Transformers reactivated game.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, I haven't been hyped for video games before. Eventually, it's actually good to just back off from it. In like the 2 months before release or whatever, just go like, you know what? I'm gonna stop watching coverage. I'm just gonna walk away and do something else. Because then when you come back, I think it hits so much more fresh on launch. If you follow it right up to the minute, at least from my experience, it can kind of diminish the launch in a way. If you have anxiety about it, I would actually say that it would help to purposefully look away from it to something else that's also really exciting, just if possible, because it falls into the realm of what one calls like things out of our control. Like a video game launch, we can't push, and it can be really hard, like waiting and waiting.
Right, because I haven't been excited for a Transformers game since Fall of Cybertron came out.
Well, yeah, it's been a while, right? Like, because I mean that game has a lot of hype behind it because people also would like it to be good.
And people also want a remastered version of it for next-gen consoles, but we're probably not going to get that because Hymu Studios doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, this
Wait,
is
does it?
It kind of does. They make Call of Duty maps. So Matt Teager is still there. I actually left a comment on one of the Hasbro Instagrams about the Gamer Edition Studio Series, and I was kind of like, hey, if it's remotely possible, can you all get Teej on a stream just to be excited that those things exist?
All right, well, thanks, man.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, you won that shirt at a charity auction. Later on, I'll tell you all how I knew that.
With the upcoming not Galaxy. I had one job.
Sorry, I have one job too.
The Guardian robot, the upcoming Generation Selects Guardian robot. How many would be too many?
It's definitely a time to release a troop buildable Titan class. Going back to the entire slideshow. Yeah, I think that buying one means that you were really hyped for it. I think buying two means that you have made that like that's my big purchase this year. If someone has like 4 to 10 of them, then I'm gonna go back to an earlier bullet point. If you're in the room, if you could please buy us some pizza and some soda and get the duck tacos back at the grill outside, then I'll be really pleased. But otherwise, I would say like don't feel obligated to troop build a Titan class. I think the timing on that ended up just not panning out super well, but if you can do it, don't feel like you have to. Do it because you're hyped to. Because you want one on either side of your display and you've been dreaming of it this whole time. But otherwise, one is enough. I'm actually going 0 because it's not pink and yellow and turquoise enough to get my interest.
Got it. 3 it is.
Yeah, it means you can have one in the middle and one on either side, and like that's how you troop build. You have the wingman. Anyway, let's go ahead.
Hi, my question is, I have something for you. You want me to give it now or after the panel?
Go right now. Let's do it. That's a bag from it's Far Cry. Literally, it's the whole thing. It's all of Far Cry 5. Every single one. It's all in here. Anyone have Far Cry 5? Anyone? Hands up. Do you have Far Cry 5? Not anymore. It's all here. I lied. It's a plastic bag. Yo, okay. I didn't see the blade in here. And I was like, it's a Ziploc. I know what this is now.
Is that the Star Saber blade?
Yeah, this is also, is anyone here planning to go to Blast from the Past?
I already met you there.
Yeah, I was already there. Anyway, this kind fellow over here did a proxy buy for me, so I got Derek Wyatt's animated Shockwave, which was of the things that were spotted there. There's still lots there, by the way. This is important to me because this was a figure that I got stolen off of eBay because I was impatient for it, and then I really liked it, and then also I never ever saw it on a store shelf, so I felt that I won that equation. And then when obviously sadness happened, and then everything showed up at Blast from the Past, people were taking photos and offering to proxy buy. I saw this and I was like, yo, this would be really sick. This would be great. So thank you very much. This is a Star Saber HasLab blade that I believe you've been manufacturing, and I owe you for this. So this is like made of real people material and is long like swords are. That's all. You go over there. Thank you. Do you want this back? All right. I also have all of Far Cry 5. So. My apologies if you purchased it. I'm sure that the company that produced it will return your money. Anyway, yeah, next question.
Hello, my name is Timothy Chandler.
Hello.
So I'm an avid watcher of YouTube. However, my watch later has been backed up a lot because I've had to deal with school and stuff, and and I haven't been really motivated to watch a lot of stuff, and it keeps getting bigger because I see a lot of more interesting videos.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, do you have any solutions to that? Yeah, some of that do include Transformers reviews and stuff I am interested in watching.
I've been there. My watch later actually still has this thing where a bunch of animators all animated a minute of Shrek 2 each. Which I've been meaning to watch for however many years ago that thing came out. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. It's in my watch later still, and I've been trying to be better about my watch later. So I haven't followed this advice yet. My advice would be actually just clear your watch later, and then see if you actually want to watch any of those again, and think to oh, what was that thing I was gonna watch? Maybe I'll go check it out. Especially if it's review videos. At this point, some of them may just not really hit. They might not be relevant really to what you're thinking about now. And that watch later thing can become very daunting to the point where you're like, what's the point of this function anymore?
Okay.
So I would if you can, you don't have to, but one idea is if you wipe it, then you can repopulate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. If I don't wipe my watch later by the end of next month, harass me on Twitter.
Don't tempt me.
Because then I'll have given bad advice if I don't.
Hi, sorry if I seem a bit frazzled. I just got off a plane.
No worries.
So I've been collecting Transformers for about 10 years, I'd say. And I'm thinking of trying to dwindle down my collection. How do you know which one you really should give up and which ones you shouldn't? Because it's hard for me because there's ones I genuinely like, but they're not worth that much. And then there's ones that are have tripled in price since I've bought them, etc. So
yeah. Well, one thing I'll say is if you do know which ones you genuinely like, then you've already got a super solid anchor point, because those are the ones you're probably going to want to keep. Mm-hmm. And then off of that, this is going to some of those other panels, so I don't want to rehash too much. And I don't mean for it to sound like a YouTube advertisement. It's just I've been trying to make sure that a lot of them are up there. If you know the subjective qualities you really like, that gives you a basis to start, especially looking at those really valuable pieces. Because there's no better feeling than when you go I think I can let this go, and also it's triple digits back to you, then you feel super strong and powerful, because it's I was able to let this go, and also I can buy food for the month. But that is one place. If you know that there are things you love, you know what to keep, and if you know there's things that are valuable and you're not sure if you love them, you know the first thing to look at, and that's probably a good place to start. But otherwise, coming up with what you actually like subjectively about Transformers, specifically even, it's just a great place to start, and it lets you go back and just start messing with all your old figures over and over again. You might rediscover some where you're like, I forgot I love this, and you might find some where you're like, I don't know why I own this. What was I thinking? So that's one place to start.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hello again from earlier.
Hello! From that convention that apparently happened.
Yes, and also a blast from the past. Bulkhead is sitting, just chilling in my room right now. So from Derek's collection. But, and also sorry to anyone out of state thinking there's going to be California sunshine. We've been hit by blizzards and rainstorms for the past 2 months. But,
I was very wet today.
Yes.
I'm holding you responsible.
I know, I do take responsibility. So this is kind of a big question for me. Your thoughts about saving packaging for toys you've already opened?
Kill. Yeah, so I had a moment because I will save all packaging briefly. Then it was I will save all non-North American packaging. Eventually, when Galaxy Force finishes, that's already a problem. We're only in the year 2006. Some years ago, I flattened and recycled all of my Masterpiece boxes. And I've never felt such glorious, delicious violence course through my veins before. Let me tell you why it's okay. So because there's really one thing I'll do, and then I'll keep the line moving. The first thing you're going to think is the resale value. Okay, you know what is way easier to sell than an opened with box Masterpiece toy? A loose, complete Masterpiece toy that has been marked down $20 under the price of an open boxed one, because whoever sees it on your table at a show is going to think that they won, because, oh, I'm going to get Masterpiece Sideswipe for like $20 under, just because there's no box I don't care about? Yeah! And then you're free of a toy you might have not wanted. So I am all for the destruction of packaging. Admittedly, I film all of it because I am a documentarian weirdo, but because I'm out there doing the work along with a lot of other people on tfu.info and tfwiki, like whoever's instructions even, I still have to kill a lot of instructions. I've been putting them all in a paper bag like a weirdo because I'm convinced someone will buy them all off of me for $20.
Even though they're the Hasbro one.
Even though they go straight in the paper bag. But yeah, unless the packaging has legitimate sentimental value, which is a can of worms, just flatten it. Don't destroy it. Don't burn it or anything. Like, recycle it. Do your part for the planet and all that. But yeah, killing packaging is very freeing, and also you get to tell people, like, I got MP36 Megatron, and I shredded the box with my bare hands. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Right, so obviously, Hobby Happiness, you gave us a whole bunch of very good advice, some would argue common sense advice, on how to collect. My question is, with the 1 in a million chance that we get a repeat of distribution on the same level as Earthrise Wave 2, would you blame someone for not following any of those advice?
Absolutely not. In fact, don't listen to me if that happens again.
All right.
No, a lot of my advice, I usually couch it, and I didn't for the sake of time, but like, my advice is, like, it's just suggestions, and like, there are no rules. At the end of the day, there are no hobby police. So you're allowed to mess up. You're allowed to go about however you want to do things. If there's like a figure coming out, if you love Point Blank, I'm sorry, but pre-order it. Because what if you've just been hyped for Point Blank this whole time? Then yeah, pre-order that one. Go ahead. Like, there's no reason not to. This is more so about like when you're facing the specter of like, I'm literally not having fun doing this. But yeah, the rules are made to be broken. Except for the one about the rich people buying us pizza and soda. That's actually law. I checked. I sent a letter. They said yes. We have, by the way, about under 15 minutes left.
Just out of curiosity, have you ever thought about building your own Transformer, like out of 3D print or cardboard?
I have, and then I ran into it's a really simple but really difficult problem, which is skill set. I don't know how, and I don't have a 3D printer. That's kind of been where I ran into a wall. Once upon a time, I drew Transformer designs, but I found like any kind of thing I think of for how a Transformer physically could work, someone else has already thought of, if not better. So I kind of put my brain into like other places. But I think people should do it, especially with the not the democratization, they're still expensive, but with the availability of 3D printers. Like that's one direction, but I should say the fine art of papercraft. Boy, I think more people should learn it because I want them to teach me how it works. Because I think it's actually more magical than 3D printing.
Yeah, I was just asking because as of right now, I'm currently in a transition program in Oregon where I am in a project group and I'm actually creating my own Autobot version of Soundwave from
Hell
G1.
yeah. I'll like post it when you finished it.
I'll try.
Yeah, unless your group is like weird, in which case just like if you fill a sock with a lot of quarters and you build up a lot of momentum, then you take their vote away. Briefly, ideally temporarily, just in the window where they can tell you no. Make sure they wake up. Anyway, I'm not supposed to continue giving that advice, I've been told. But yeah, you should post that project if you can. That sounds really cool.
All right, thank you.
Just wondering, did you ever get the Lego Prime? If so, do you have any problems or any something that can make it better?
I have not picked it up yet because it's extremely expensive. Members of my family can attest to how often, every time I walk past one, I like to go on and on about how I can't afford it. But boy, howdy, that sure would be neat if I just picked that up. I have heard that there are mods out there for things like an extended knee mod, although that then reveals, in some cases, depending how you do it, why the knees are limited. Because some folks who have extended built the knees then found that Optimus Prime in Lego form will collapse at the knees because it's heavy. No, there is, I think, a decent amount of like mocking and modding for that kit. Probably like purchasing additional pieces to build onto it to like build out mechanisms is going to be the way, but I myself don't really have any experience with it, unfortunately. It does move!
All right, so speaking as a fellow Canadian, we've been in the weird situation in the last few years with regards to collecting where the main retailer, like Toys R Us, who used to have regular sales on product, doesn't anymore, and if anything, charges more for everything.
Our leaders at Toys R Us are 90 Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
Do the conversion on your phone.
Nobody else sells leaders for 90 Canadian in Canada, just for the record.
Yeah.
But
there's
77 everywhere but Toys R Us. But anyway, and we're in the weird situation where the only place to get any sort of certainty with regards to sales in Canada is pre-ordering at GameStop. And if you have an Edge Onyx card, you gain an even better pre-order.
Yeah,
How has that sort of stuff impacted your own collecting?
It means that I have almost exclusively been buying Transformers at Electronic Boutique's GameStop in Canada. Which is not where I thought things would be. Mm-hmm. I pay for a membership there because collectively the discount of almost the tax means it is the best place for a Canadian to purchase Transformers, at GameStop.
And if you spend enough money, you can save slightly more money.
Yeah, buy thousands of dollars and then maybe we'll grant you an Onyx membership. Does this make any sense to any of you Americans, or do you just not go to GameStop? No? Okay, well...
Yeah, but how does that impact your calculus there? The idea that only by pre-ordering can you actually get a sale price.
I still let the pre-orders go. I'm just like convenience tax. Because I got sick of pre-ordering $200 to $300 of stuff and then sitting there wondering when it actually will come out.
Yeah.
It's just that gamble doesn't work for my brain anymore, so I just let the pre-orders go.
I do check them like weekly to see when if their pre-order dates have changed at this point, because they always change them.
I will throw in I pre-ordered Breakdown because I was like, I wish to finish this journey because I like Stunticons, but like, I didn't do the whole wave.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we got one left.
Hi, I've been a fan of your content for a while.
Thank you.
One of my friends, he's been trying to get into Transformers. What do you think would be the best continuity to start off in?
So we're talking like watching a show specifically?
Show or movie or some sort of digital media.
Yeah, I would say you got to gauge your friend's taste a little bit, but like as far as like completed media, like Animated and Prime are two good places to look. They're just well-made shows from the late aughts and the early 2010s, and they're all done. So it's a finished thing to watch. But yeah, like you need to know your friend's taste a little bit. Like, are they more into something that's a bit grittier? Are they into something that's a bit more wild and colorful? But those are two really decent and existing places to start, where you can also like track down physical media of them. Because I really like Cyberverse, but like it's just like sort of floating on YouTube.
True.
And it's hard to tell someone like, yeah, just go watch Cyberverse because I'm pretty sure it's still there. It can be kind of difficult.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So I think that about wraps us here, unless usually someone at this point has asked like what the meaning of life is, but like if y'all don't need to know, then it's okay. Like I've already.
Okay, well, what is the answer to life, the universe, and everything then, sir?
Well, the thing about timing, right, is like I have to close the bag. And I had it in here ready to go, but no one asked like what's the meaning of life. So you'll have to play Far Cry 5 to find out. Available now on Steam and all your major gaming platforms. So yeah, those panels I mentioned before, please check them out. Please have fun at the show. You got some opening ceremonies on the way. Spend responsibly if you can. I'm not going to tell you, I'm not your parents, but like if you are poor when you come to the Sunday panel, please confirm so I can feel smart. Anyway, I'll catch you all around later on. I got to pack things up now, so I will actually be up here for a minute, but like I'm just going to be a busybody. So stay seated, because I think if I tell you to go anywhere, then the organizers will be mad. In fact, yeah, stay seated. Don't move.
Alrighty, thank you, Chris Ho, for that wonderful panel. We will have our opening ceremony in about 9 minutes. Until then, everyone just stare intently at Vangelus and make him feel very uncomfortable.
Do not stand. I've been recording all of your positions, and we'll know if any of you are not in your seat when the opening ceremony starts. I haven't been. They've all been pointed at me. I don't know how to do any of that.